Finally here, the season's just around the corner. Testing is now all finished for MotoGP, and that means it's a good opportunity for us to do our 2023 season predictions. Now, I've always enjoyed making this video, but it's going to be even better this year because I've got a guest joining me to give predictions for you. It's a bit of a longer format this one. We've gone podcast style. And of course, a very big thank you to our guest who you're about to meet. And I had a lot of fun doing this one, guys. It was really nice to do a video with somebody else instead of just me talking shit up here by myself the whole time. So enjoy the video, stick around for the whole thing. There's some great predictions in here. We had a lot of fun. Enjoy. Luke, welcome to Rob GP. You're here for this year's predictions video because we needed to legitimize my predictions somehow by having someone who knows what they're doing on here. Before we start on our predictions, tell us about what you're doing, Highside News, where we can find you. You've been writing articles for people. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rob. Basically, Highside News on Instagram, Facebook. We also have a podcast, the Highside News podcast, that's available on all streaming platforms. Yeah, been doing ones every week, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. We release one, and we're yet to do our predictions for MotoGP or Moto2 or Moto3. We've done World Superbikes, and we'll have British Superbikes in the future, but things are, yeah, there's going to be some more coming up.
So if people can get a bit of a leg up on the Highside News predictions here by hearing what you've got for us, we've got a world exclusive on Luke's predictions here.
You could call it that.
Yeah, well, but you can change them. You could just go in with two sets of predictions, mate. You split the difference, you'll be fine.
Exactly.
So quickly, I mean, I've got everything I need right here. All my predictions, all the winning predictions for the year. We'll just quickly go over what we're going to do. So It's going to be, I've set you 10 categories or predictions to go with. They're a little bit similar to last year, what I've done. I've changed a couple of them over. I like to go with 10. It's a nice even number. And there's one, I'm going to give you a heads up now, mate. I'm going to throw a curveball at you about halfway through and change it up a little bit, okay?
Oh, no.
From what I've set you. All right. So may as well get into the first one. Yeah. And the first one this year, I would usually have gone for most pole positions, the fastest man in the world kind of thing. And I'm going to go with the introduction of sprint racing on Saturdays. I'm going to go for the most sprint race wins. And because you are our very special guest, I'm going to let you shoot first.
I am going with Jorge Martin for my most sprint race wins. I think he's that pole hound, and he's normally good at the start of races, has been known to drop off towards the end, have a few crashes towards the end of races, but I think sprint races will really suit him, so I could see him being pretty dominant in them.
So we've legitimized the channel here a little bit, because that had logic behind it and reason and rider attributes. And then we go into my prediction here, which is just, I'm going to fly off the rails a little bit, and I'm going to go with Marc Marquez.
Okay.
All right, and my not so sound logic is that he's got a really sore arm, so he's going to have to win the shorter race if he's going to win any. Right? So, yeah. And I think he's going to automatically win a couple at Kota and Sachsenring, right? So, and they've not tested well, Honda. They've not tested well, so I mean, I've gone out on a bit of a limb, but that's what I'm going with. I'm just going to back Mark in for a half distance race, and yeah, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a point to Luke on that one, I think. But yeah, Martin, I definitely did have a look at. And I also like the idea of Zarco winning a couple and never winning a Grand Prix. So I thought about that for a second as well. But yeah, no.
He was another one. It was between the Pramac boys for me.
Yeah, and I think the obvious one, I mean, I was thinking about Fabio as well, which is probably a good chance for him to win races. But, Yamaha and all that, is he getting swamped by Ducatis no matter how long the race is? Stuff like that. So I do think a lot of guys will see this as their chance to win races when they don't usually win them, though.
Yeah.
But I've just got to back mark it. All right. Our second one was a surprise Grand Prix winner. This is one that I usually will do in my predictions. So this is someone who perhaps we don't think will win a Grand Prix usually, or it's if he did win one, he's not one of the favourites or whatever. So once again, Luke, you're first, mate. Who have you got?
I've actually gone with logic again on this one.
Oh no, don't do that. That's not what we do here.
I'm going with Alex Marquez. I think the move to Ducati is going to be perfect for him. He's tested really well. Top 7, I think, in Portimao. I could see, we did sort of mention this a little bit on the Highside News podcast this week, but I do think in a wet race, Alex Marquez on the Honda was fighting for a win in Le Mans a couple years ago. So I think if we get a wet race with him on the Ducati, he's one that could definitely pull out a surprise win.
Yeah, I see what you're doing there. I've gone down a similar track to you here, in the sense that I think if there's going to be a surprise winner, I don't think it's coming from any other bike than a Ducati. But I've gone more towards. I was basically in the end. I was like, I'm going to toss up between the two VR46 riders, and I've landed on Bezzecchi. But really, it was a coin toss, right? But I don't know if you had to name someone other than Alex, who are you going with?
It probably would have been one of the VR46 boys, but I think it would have been Marini, because I don't think I'd be too surprised if Bezzecchi won one, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, all right. So here we go. So Bezzecchi's not a surprise winner.
Not in my eyes, no. I think he could definitely win one this year. He looked really. He got a second place in Assen last season, so.
Yeah, maybe I need to pick another. Look, I've figured. You see, now you've got me second guessing myself, Luke. Bloody, jeez. All right, if I wasn't going to go Bezzecchi, obviously I said I was going to go Marini. Who else did I look at for this one? I had. I had Zarco, but again, I don't know if that was I mean, it is a surprise in the sense that he gets the yips like real bad.
Yeah, like at Silverstone. That was
a
prime example.
That was good that I was sitting on that corner.
Yeah, you were.
That's good fun. I had my head in my hands and everything for him. All right, look, you've gone Alex, I've gone Bezzecchi. I think we know it's no one outside of. Well, actually, we got the next question. I was about to go into that inadvertently, but we'll wait because I was going to mention some other potential race winners, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to go straight into number 3. Now, for this one, well, I didn't mention at the top, everything is worth 1 point. Every question is worth 1 point, except for this one. This one's potentially worth as many or as minus points as you can muster, right? So we're going to list all the race winners that we think are going to win a race this year. For everyone you get right, you're going to get a point. For everyone you get wrong, you're going to lose a point. How many race winners have you got?
I have got 9.
That's a lot.
I know.
That's what I did last year.
I'm bold.
All right. I'll tell you off the start. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 6.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So rattle them off for us.
Well, got straight away both the factory Ducatis, Bastianini and Bagnaia.
No problems.
Quartararo is obviously, I think he's one. Alex Marquez, my surprise winner.
Obviously, yeah.
Bezzecchi.
Okay.
Both factory Aprilias with Viñales and Aleix Espargaro.
Right.
Martin and also Marc Marquez.
Right. Okay. Now, I've got 6, like I mentioned. I don't have Aprilia down for a race win this year.
Oh, okay.
So I've got Bezzecchi, obviously, the 2 factory Ducati riders. I've got Fabio Quartararo for 1. I've got Jorge Martin, and I also have Marc Marquez. So, yeah, I've gone a bit like I know Aprilia is like super trendy at the moment to be like they're so quick and they're so and they've got all these and they do have great riders and no if it rains Oliveira's going to win one, right?
He was one I also thought about.
So, but I've decided to leave him. He was the one that he would have been my 7th, I think, ahead of the other Aprilias because I think. Again, I'm going to try and use a bit of logic here. Whether it's sound or not, I don't know. Obviously them losing concessions and things like that. I don't know if they'll be as close to Ducati as they were last year. I mean, who knows? But I just think the improvement maybe from Bezzecchi. I think Martin's going to get better. I think Marini's going to get better because I like Bezzecchi and Marini, and I like Martin, and Zarco's always there. I don't know if Aprilia is going to be good enough one-on-one anywhere. And let's not forget last year they only won the one. So while it seems like they had an amazing year, they did only win the single Grand Prix. I mean, only Aleix won for him. So
I'm thinking Vinales was close at Silverstone is another place I'm thinking as well.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, and look, I'm the one talking shit here, mate, not you. Everything you're saying makes sense. I can't see him being as close as last year. I don't know why. And I think Fabio will obviously get pinched 1 or 2 just from being as good as he is.
Yeah.
And Mark, again, there's 2 circuits he always wins that, isn't it? So
yeah, Kota Ross,
he'll win those. Yeah. So I mean, we're on the same track on some of it there.
Yeah.
But not quite all of it.
Not the Aprilias.
The next one's one of my favourite categories, and that's the teammate killer. Who's gonna be the biggest gap in points between the 2 teammates? And so tell us, and it has to be in the right order. You can't just be like, it was him and him, and it ends up being that one that was, I did that one year I said Miller was going to outscore Bagnaia by the most. And Bagnaia was real good. I was like, oh shit, I fucked that up. So tell us which team it's going to be and which rider is going to be the superior.
This one I had to think about for quite a while because there's a few that I think could be there. I thought the Gas team was in there. LCR I was thinking as well. But I landed on the Grassini team. I think Alex Marquez is going to outscore Digi Antonio by quite a bit. I like Digi. I think he is a good rider. But I think Alex is just that bit better on the Ducati. Like I said earlier, he's going to be, I think, hopefully, a different level to what he was on the Honda.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I all the teams you mentioned were ones I looked at as well. And as heartbreaking as it is for me, because I absolutely love the guy, I've settled at Yamaha, Fabio over Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
I literally tried my hardest not to make it this one. I was like trying to justify every situation in my head, like you said, with Pole outscoring Augusto. But then I was like, is Pole going to score that many points?
That's what I was thinking.
Grassini again, but then I don't think Digi's going to have a much better year than what he had. Alex Marquez is the bit of a wild card for me because I don't know what to expect from him. I'm half predicting him to be rubbish, but also there's a little bit about you. There's a bit of hype about him at the moment.
There is the thing with Alex of he will either be a great success on the Ducati or he will crash and burn like he has been shown to do in the past. He either gets a good run of form or an awful run of form.
A part of me is leaning towards the part of him that was not that much, well, it was even better. Would you say was better than Nakagami over the last, season or so?
They're probably equal.
So that's for me. I think that's where I'm landing on him. But again, that could just be because you're on a shit bike and your head's down and whatever. You get on something that feels good all of a sudden, you'll be like, oh, okay, I've got a bit of confidence. So I had a look at them. I even had a look at the factory KTM team.
Yeah.
But then I figured Binder won't score points on a Saturday because he won't qualify well and he's only got half a race. He comes good at the end of the race. So I think Miller will get him maybe a few points. But KTM's one of those ones where it's like Aprilia was for years, where it's just Binder is way better than everyone else on it. But yeah, I settled on Morbidelli and Fabio. as much as I want to convince myself that Morbidelli is going to turn it around, I struggle to see it actually happening. And I really want it to happen.
Yeah.
And then testing again didn't go great for Frankie. I'm starting to wonder if I think it could be his last year on a Yamaha. Whether it's his last year in MotoGP, I don't know. I don't know if Rossi lets him leave, if that makes sense. Because I think he'll try and find a place on the grid for him. But
he could hope that Bezzecchi or Marini get promoted to Pramac.
Well, I think if it came down to it, I think he'd be looking at making a few moves around and getting Marini or Bezzecchi into one of the other Ducati teams or somewhere else. I don't know where. So that if nobody else on the grid wanted to touch Frankie, he'd be like, well, there's a seat here for you. And I think, again, it's like the Alex Marquez thing, maybe, where if he gets on a Ducati and it's still the best bike on the grid, I think all of a sudden there's a bit of hype around him.
Yeah.
Being able to do something. But I think this year, I think Fabio just smacks him again. Like, I can definitely see it happening. I actually can't even remember what happened, because for when I did my predictions from last season, I did my video at the start of this season for the scores I got. I can't remember if that was the biggest points gap or not. So I'll have to go back and watch my other videos to see if that actually happened. But yeah, that's what I've got again. Okay. Well, I didn't pick that last year. I think that's the one that actually got it. Even though it breaks my heart to do it. So that leads us into our next one. Speaking of not scoring many points, this is our wooden spoon. Who is going to come last in the MotoGP Championship of the full-time riders? Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, if certain riders, more than one rider doesn't score points, it'll go on like average position or whatever, however they work it out. But basically, who's going to come last? Off you go, Luke.
I've gone with the only rookie on the grid, Augusto Fernandez. I don't think it's too difficult to decide this one, really. It was between him or Nakagami for me. But I think Nakagami's got that more experience, that in the tough conditions he will be able to pull out a result. But Fernandez, I just think being the only rookie on the grid is just something that's going to hold him back compared to all the other guys that have been there for a while now.
And he's on a cursed bike in a cursed team for rookies
as well, yeah.
So you're right, it picked itself. This one I've gone with him as well. But I think you've been a bit generous that you've brought someone else into it. Maybe a bit harsh on Taka. I mean, maybe, but Taka, like you said, he just has his way of just getting his points every now and then. And, you know, he knows what he's doing to a degree. You know, I actually quite like Taka, but I don't know if he should still maybe be there. But, you know, yeah, I think Augusta, I get half a chance he's going at the end of the season as well.
Off the World Superbikes, probably.
Yeah, I think he's getting the Lecuona Remy treatment.
Last like 4 rookies they've had.
Well, yeah.
Have all been just picked out immediately.
Yeah, off you go. You were shit on our terrible bike, so see you later.
Not good enough. Bye.
Yeah. Right. Well, that was an easy one. Okay. Number 6. Another look. I've got to just. Have we both agreed on this one? This is the team's champion in MotoGP. Did you pick Ducati?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is where I'm throwing I'm going to put you on the spot with this one. Because they're obviously going to be number 1. Who's going to come second?
Oh.
We're going to do this one as who's going to be second in the team championship. And I've actually just put myself a little bit on the spot because I'm actually racking my brain here to see who's got 2 good riders.
Yeah, now I'm really thinking as well. I'm thinking other Ducati teams as well.
Yeah, so am I.
I don't think it'll be Pramac. I think they're a little bit too inconsistent, their riders. I think... maybe it will be Pramac. Actually, yeah, I'm going to go with Pramac, maybe. I think Martin's going to have a good year, but I'm not sure about Zarco.
But even Zarco just has his normal year. Is he like 6th or 7th in the championship?
Yeah, he always averages around like 6th, 7th, yeah.
Yeah. So... And if Martin has a blinder, he'll be like, what, 3rd or 4th, I suppose, 5th?
Yeah.
Yeah. So It's a good one. Second in the World Championship for Pramac. Well done, guys. It basically makes you the team champion, I suppose, because you're not catching the other two.
No.
I I've also gone with Pramac. Um, I flirted with VR46.
So did
I even flirted with, despite my pick on the teammate kill, I flirted with Fabio just racking up enough points.
Mm-hmm.
Just like coming second in the World Championship and just getting a heap of points and whatever. Which, could happen, I suppose, if Yamaha's, I don't know, sandbagging in some kind of way. But yeah, I think, again, they are the second best Ducati team, I suppose. They are the most likely to be the next, third and fourth Ducati positionally in the championship. So I've also gone for them. That's a category I probably could have left out this year, but I always have it in. I thought it'd be a bit fun to just throw that one at you.
Oh, just put me on the spot massively.
Right now, who's fourth in the team? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
So we are going through our world champions now. That was our team's world champion. Bit of a change of tact here. We're stepping away from MotoGP. We're going to go into the junior categories. Who is going to be the Moto3 world champion in 2023?
Now, this one did take me a while, and I'm still not completely certain right now. I'm still looking through right now, looking at the riders, thinking who stands out to me. And I've been toying.
There's none, is there?
There's none that I think will run away with it, like when Martin was in Moto3 that year, and he absolutely wiped the floor with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking between Sasaki and Messier on the Leopard.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to go with Ayumu Sasaki for the Moto3 World Championship.
Okay. All right. Do you see any kind of situation here where anyone new can do anything this season? I mean, I know we don't know much about these guys when they come in. I mean, even when Acosta came in, I had no idea who he was. And then race one, it was like he was a superstar.
Some of them that have come in do look like could do something. David Alonso on the gas and Rueda on the IO KTM bike. But I just think Sasaki's been there a while now. And he did show good form towards the end of last year. And he did bottle it a bit at Qatar at the start. So I'm going with Sasaki.
And the only three guys that beat him last season are no longer there.
Yeah.
And that's why I've also gone for Sasaki. I felt like changing that one on the fly just because you went for it, but I've got to be honest with what I picked. And I did pick Sasaki. And I also went through Masia. I kind of can't see it coming from anywhere else unless there's a real breakout season for I don't know, Moriera, David Munoz. There's some like the guys that have showed a bit of speed, Olgado, but not really done much. Still, like when you look, because it feels like these guys are like the next big things, and you look at their results from last season, it wasn't that great, but people talk about them, But I've gone with Sasaki. I think he's the only one that looks like he has the aggression. He gets himself to the front a lot. He doesn't get bogged down in packs. Almost like how Foggia used, sometimes get bogged down in a pack a little bit. And that's where he let his chances go. Sasaki's just the most exciting guy there, I think. Dennis Onshu, again, another one I looked at, but I don't know if he's going to have the goods to be able to do anything there. The only real wild card in the deck for me that is the fact that Romano Fenati's there again.
Oh, no.
So, I don't know. Again, he's another one where it's like, could he just, win a couple of races? Or
He is by far the most experienced on the grid there, I think, now.
Well, he'd be the most experienced guy in Moto 2.
I think
Not on a Moto 2 bike, but just in the, race starts, almost.
Yeah, him and Sam Lowe's are probably move up there together, yeah.
Yeah, but look, I don't even know what to say about him, but, I just think it'd be fucking hilarious if he just went out and won the World Championship.
He just turned up randomly. And
then just spends next season in Moto 3 again.
That's a very Fenati thing to do, if he can do it with the age thing. Yeah, that's a very Fenati thing.
Cool. So obviously our next one is the Moto2 World Champion. This is a stacked field for me. I think this is absolutely stacked with top riders. Not only like guys that have been there a while, but your three guys that have gone up from Moto3 are all sort of big talent, like proper talents, I think. So tell us who you got as your Moto2 champion, and tell us why you haven't picked whoever it was that was second on your list, because I think this is a very tight field, this one.
Well, part of me wanted to go with hope and go towards Sam Lowes or Jake Dixon.
Okay.
And I actually have Sam written down and just hope brackets next to him, but I think I'm probably going to change that because both of Sam and Jake have been fast because they've been testing in Jerez, and I've been keeping an eye on that. But it's going to be a Gura or a Costa, I reckon. And I'm going to go towards Agura purely because I like Agura. I think he's a very talented rider. And Acosta, I think, would just miss out, but it'll be those two all season long.
That is interesting because I am almost half predicting a not as good season for Agura. I have no reason for it, again, because it's just in my gut. It's in my loins, mate. I don't know why. I also have, obviously, Acosta, the Wonder Kid, as an absolute favourite. Jake Dixon, Sam Lowe thing. I know you Poms love to just, get excited about these guys, but like, I just can't. I'm not there with you. I'm not there with you on those two. Sorry, Jake. I know the guy doesn't like me for some reason. I'm blocked on Twitter, aren't I?
Yeah.
I never tweeted him, but I've said something. But I don't know, when I really look at it, unless Guevara is an absolute freak, you get something out of, obviously Iagura is going to be there or thereabouts. I don't know about Canet. He doesn't give me that much confidence. I honestly think the closest challengers to Acosta for this season are going to be, I'm looking at Alonso. What's his name? Alonso Lopez. Yeah. Alonso Lopez. Just because if you took the championship from when, I've not actually figured this out. I've come in unprepared. From when he started the season, he couldn't have been that far off. And I also kind of like Tony Arbolino a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, I've just seen last season stand-ins. Yeah. But
yeah, I think it's going to be Acosta. And I think, despite the fact that I think it's a super stacked field with talent, and that should mean it will be really, really close, I think he's going to be elite this season. Like, elite. I think he's going to be a class above the rest. But, honourable mentions here. Who else haven't we talked about? Vietti.
I've been looking at the Jerez test and he wasn't too high up, actually.
I think he's rattled his own confidence, to be honest.
I think he might have. I think that start of last season was like the best we're going to see from Vietti for a while.
Well, I think he probably surprised himself a little bit. Like, oh my God, this is easy.
Because he was nowhere the year before, and then all of a sudden he was right at the front.
And then then all of a sudden it was like, oh, Vietti's obviously the favourite now to win the championship. He's on the podium every race, whatever. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it just, you couldn't keep it on two wheels.
Yep.
So there's guys like him. Who else have we got here? And then obviously Guevara, you've got, who's going to take best to the Moto2 bike? Garcia, Guevara, or Foggia?
Ooh. Guevara didn't have a good start in testing. He was quite low down towards the bottom end. I'm going to go Garcia.
Yeah?
I don't know why. I just feel like he's going to have something about him. But then there's also Skinner who's coming over from BSB as well.
That's true as well, actually.
I do think he did that quite well. To the OnlyFans American racing team as well. That's quite funny seeing that coming through.
Might sign up. Okay, yeah. The only one here that I honestly don't really rate him that much, but could a team change be what sparks him into life, is Albert Arenas. Just because it's Io.
Yeah.
And we've kind of seen that before, like with Remy, you know, switch to, and not that Remy I thought was better than him in his season before.
Yeah.
But it's, who knows when you switch, but he's not going to beat Pedro, is he? So that doesn't matter.
It's like Remy and Augusto as well. They both had it.
Well, yeah,
You
exactly.
went
Exactly. Yeah. There's form there. But yeah, I can't see anyone beating Pedro if it's me. I like that you've gone for Agura because I love Agura. I think he's brilliant. But I just don't know. I think that was maybe like he got there in a period where before, like, Pedro's in his first season. You know, a couple of guys are still maybe a year or two off their best. I don't know if they catch him now, but we'll see how we go. I hope you're right. I like Agura. I like when the Japanese riders do well. It weirds me out that Japan have made so many World Championship bikes and not many riders. It messes with my head.
Yeah.
Okay, and that obviously our next one, as we go to our 9th category, who's going to be the MotoGP World Champion?
I'm going to go with Pecco Bagnaia. Yeah.
Okay. You've resisted the temptation to go for Anaya.
Yes, I did think this one, it was definitely a choice between Anaya or Pecco, and I think Pecco he's got that championship now, the MotoGP one, so he's got the almost weight off his shoulders and he knows he can do it. So I think the mistakes will stop coming like as fast as they were, and he will just settle for second place, like what he wasn't doing at places like Le Mans in Germany, where he just crash out of second.
I agree. I've gone for Pecco as well. I've gone for Pecco. There's this thing where it's like, I don't know. You get this again. I said it earlier with Alex Marquez. You get a hype around a rider, don't you? And Anaya's got that big time now because it's very attractive to see a guy on a satellite bike go and win races the way that he did. Very impressively. It shows a lot of talent. But let's not forget, there's a lot of races last year where he barely showed up.
Yeah.
And I get that changes when you go into a factory team because you've got that support around you in a way that you don't have at it, you know, and there's also that level and also the latest bike, you know, that's all part of it. You've got all the latest parts. So you're not lagging behind in getting parts and things like that. So there is a bit of a hype around him in the performances he showed last season. The only thing I will say is, like you mentioned, Pecco a year on, and does he just start taking that second or third and just win by a lot, which he would have done?
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't have been 90 odd points behind, or whatever the hell it was that he was behind, like a ridiculous amount of points. Because like he'll just come fourth or something. Like, it's fine.
He still brought it back as well from whatever it was, like 90 points at Germany or something, like, and he still did it. So yeah, Quartararo had a bad end to the season, but a little bit more consistency. And Pecco,
the only thing that hurts him is if he does have a start like that and the guy he's chasing is Bastianini, you're not going to have to rely on the fact that, like, well, his bike's shit. I could probably just do him in the next 6 Grand Prix to be fine. Because Anaya's bike is not going to be shit. So you might have a bit more trouble catching a guy if you give him a head start. But I can't see Bagnaia giving any head start this season. And then I try not to focus too much on testing times, but it was bloody impressive. Yeah. It was bloody impressive in testing as well. It's hard to ignore that. So I've gone for him as well. I think he'll go back to back. Can you see anyone outside of them two doing it though?
Outside of the 2 factory Ducatis? Well, Fabio always finds his way there. That's the one that has been on my mind as well. Like, even last year, like we've said, he was fighting for the title on a bike that was not competitive. Like, you see his teammate and the satellite Yamahas, and they were nowhere. So Fabio, yeah, he'll be up there, but he won't be in the title fight, I don't think.
How much would that, percentage-wise, how much would that Yamaha have had to improve for him to be a legitimate, sustained title challenger?
Well, the thing is, I think the Ducati's improved as well. So it's the thing of Yamaha, they can improve, but Ducati will always be one step ahead at the moment. So they need Ducati to do something bad, like what Honda have done, and completely mess up their bike to even try and catch up, I think.
They need Fabio to be, I suppose they need Fabio to be Rossi in 04. basically to win this. Is that what we're going?
Yeah,
He
pretty
needs
much.
to just be like, I'm winning races, and we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if the bike was going to be good.
Yeah,
We just turned up and I've won.
just turn up at the first race and just win it.
Yeah, yeah. Can you see anything? Is there a part of your mind that is even considered Mark at all?
A lot of people aren't going to like this opinion, but no, I haven't considered Mark at all. I know he is top quality, but I just think that Honda is just, he will be there. Don't get me wrong. If he stays fully fit, he will probably be top 5 in the world. Like, it will happen because he can just outride any problem normally on the Honda. But we've seen it before in the past, in like 2015, where the bike wasn't that competitive and he crashed a lot and just tried to override it too much. So I think that might happen again.
Yeah. And of course, we have to, if we are thinking he might have to crash overriding it, and we also have to take into account that he's might injure himself and miss more races. And then aside from those guys, I don't know who else you can look at. Are you big on Mav this year? Can you see Elation Mav doing anything?
I don't think championship, no. I think the reason I picked them for the wins is I think one of them, they will both just win one race apiece and then just be there or thereabouts through a lot of the year.
Yeah, and I don't even have them winning a race. So.
Yeah.
They're not in my consideration. I honestly, we try and look at somebody else outside of those two factory Ducati riders, but it's just not going to happen. I don't think.
The sprint races will hurt Maverick. That's where that will completely ruin his season.
Of course. And again, I didn't even think about that when I made these predictions. And I don't think it would make a difference. But it is a weird one, having to actually think about, all right, so if he's winning races on a Saturday, but he's only coming like 8th on a Sunday, where would that put him? I guess we're going to have all this answered. But it's hard to wrap your head around it at the moment. But yeah, no, I totally agree. Pecco's the man this year. I think it's Pecco's to lose, really. I mean, you got to see off a guy in his first season in the team, don't you?
Yeah.
It's actually where you prove yourself as a top dog. You've got it. They've brought in the new young gun. He's the one everyone's talking about. Hey, don't worry about that. I did the business last year. I was 96 points behind. Don't worry about it.
This is where he has to show he is the top Ducati rider.
Otherwise, he's forever after this the Miller to Enea's Pecco, I guess. If he gets done this season, he's going to be the number 2 man. He's going to have to be like, oh, I'll do my best for the team. Yeah, no, you don't want that.
No, want him fighting for wins.
And our final category, out of your 3 world champions, your Moto3 world champion, your Moto2 world champion, and your MotoGP world champion, which one's going to finish the season on the most amount of points? We're discarding Saturday sprint points. Otherwise, it would obviously just be the MotoGP winner. So we're taking only Sunday points in MotoGP. So who are your champions? Sasaki, Ogura, and Pecco. Who's going to score more points?
I purely think just because Moto3 and Moto2, I think is just going to be a dogfight throughout the whole year. I think it will be Pecco. I don't think he's going to win it by a lot more than the others, but I think, Moto3 and Moto2, they're so unpredictable. Like, Moto3, you get some wild things like John McPhee in Malaysia last year.
Oh, yeah.
Pulled out that win. So, MotoGP sort of seems more structured to who will win than the lower classes. So I've gone Pecco for the most points out of 3.
Nice one. I've gone something different, which is nice because we can't just be sitting here going, oh, Pecco's going to win. Yeah, no. I think it's going to be really close between Pecco and Bastianini. I mean, really close. And with a little bit of other sprinkling of these riders, these 4 other riders I've picked to win a race, they may win more than one, And like I mentioned earlier when I picked my Moto2 champion, I think Pedro's going to be a class above. I think he's going to be like, well, when he won in Moto3, right? And it was just like, every time he went out there, he was like, well, it's just won again. I know he didn't sustain that for the whole season completely. But yeah, I've got him down for a lot of race wins this year, obviously. And I think he's just going to absolutely smash it. As good as that field is, as good as it is, and as highly as I rate a lot of the other riders in there, I think it's going to be like the season before last, with Io winning pretty much almost every race. But I don't think Albert Arenas is anywhere near him. So on that basis, I've gone for him to score the most points on a Sunday. And that's it. That's all 10. That's all 10 things done. We're finished. And at the end of the season, we can have a look at how much you beat me by.
Or how much I've completely gone wrong.
So let's wrap it up quickly. Your most sprint race wins was
Martin,
and I've gone for Marquez. Your surprise Grand Prix winner,
Alex Marquez,
and I've gone for Bezzecchi. Your race winners were
Bastianini, Bagnaia, Quartararo, Marc Marquez, Alex Marquez, Bezzecchi, Vinales, Aleix Espargaro, and Martin.
And I've got Bezzecchi, Bagnaia, Bastianini, Marquez, Mark, not Alex, Fabio, and Jorge Martin. Your biggest gap between teammates?
The Grassini team with Alex Marquez outscoring Di Giannantonio.
I've got the Yamaha team. I was going to say the factory Yamaha team. There's only one.
There's only one.
Your wooden spoon?
Augusto Fernandez.
Same. Your team's first and second place, we've got the same.
Yeah, factory Ducati and Pramac Ducati.
That's right. Your Moto3 champion was
Sasaki.
Same. And your Moto2 champion was
Agura.
And I've got Pedro, the Wonder Boy. Your MotoGP champion, we've both gone for Pecco. Yeah. And your most points, Acosta
Pecco
3.
well.
Pecco, and I've got Pedro Acosta. Everything's there. Luke, thanks for coming on.
No
Once again, where can we find you?
Twitter and Facebook and Instagram at Highside News, and on most podcast streaming sites of the Highside News podcast.
Fantastic. You can obviously find me right here, and we'll put a link to we'll put a link to the Instagram, the Facebook, and the podcast Spotify in the description or a pinned comment. Just look below. Just go down into the thing. All right, everyone, go down, click on Luke's podcast. I listen every week. I didn't listen this week because I didn't want any spoilers, but you didn't do any. So your predictions are coming up, so people can go and listen to what your guests. You have some fine guests on the show as well. Who have you got on there?
Short Shift News owner and author Dawn Hammersley, and also Short Shift News author Jack Hammersley.
Fantastic. And that's all we've got for you. That's it. That's 10 predictions, and a whole heap of race winners. And we're done. Thanks for coming on, Luke. It's been awesome.
Cheers, mate.
I really appreciate you having you on. It was nice of you to come on, and we'll catch up again soon in face-to-face if we meet at a Grand Prix at some point this year.
Who knows? Maybe if I go.
All right, no worries, mate. Take it easy, and we'll see everybody on the next video. There's going to be loads coming out before the start of the season, if I can be bothered. So, catch up.